what's going on. We are in a crawl space and we're looking at a carrier air handler, and we're gonna have a little discussion about X13 blower motors. This one's running right now. I am here to replace it, but these things can be a little tricky the way they intermittently quit and stop working, and then they work, and that was kind of the original complaint. The system would cool fine and suddenly it would quit, and homeowners said they would cycle the thermostat off and back on, and then it would come on and run, and then just randomly at some point quit again, and said that each time it happened it quit blowing air. So everybody knows that all the components are internal to the motor itself, or the module, where, you know, I miss the old stuff, to be honest, where you had your motor, then you had a relay, and you had a separate capacitor. One of the three. If it went bad, you replace that individual part. But all that stuff is internal to these X13 motors, and regardless of what the problem is of one of those things, the whole motor or module has to be replaced. So it's not like, oh, you got a bad relay, I can pop a relay in there. This thing quits, it's the motor, and I'll go over diagnosing that issue, and we'll replace this thing. But I was here yesterday, and I ran the unit, and I probably sat out there for 15 minutes. Pressures were looking fine, and suddenly, out of nowhere, I just noticed the suction line started to defrost, and my suction pressure was coming down. Superheat was getting close to zero. Popped under here, and the blower wasn't running. And it was running when I went outside, because I waited in the house to check the vent. Air came out, it was blowing air, had airflow, pressures were good, and you know, sometimes you gotta wait it out, start it, stop it, things like that. But anyway, let me grab my meter and we'll go over this a little bit. But so these X13 motors in particular, you got 24 volts coming to your G from the thermostat, and then some versions of this air handler will have a separate board with a speed out terminal, which will be a relay on the board, and you send 24 volts from that terminal back to the motor. This one pretty much just goes straight from G to your motor, and then you've got another speed that energizes when the auxiliary heat comes on. But typically you're going to get the 24 volts. So I had 24 volts here coming from the thermostat, and then for your cooling speed is this wire right here. This plug at the top is going to be your, basically your ground, your L1, L2 for your 240 volts. The brown wire over here to the left is your common for your low voltage call, and that's kind of how that works. And this motor always has 240 volts applied to it at all times, and it's waiting for that 24 volt call on one of those 5 speeds on the bottom to come on and tell it to run at a particular speed. So when I disconnect this call here, this thing's going to have a delay on it. Some of the speeds do, I guess. That one didn't have much of one, but it shut off as soon as I disconnected our 24 volt call. So if I take the meter right there, if you can see that or not, and I go, just going to go from ground, and we'll go inside that wire. You see I'm getting 27 volts right there. And if you go up here between your L1 and your L2, you see I'm getting 241 volts. So this motor always has 240 volts going to it. It's just waiting for a 24 volt call on one of these speeds. And yesterday it wasn't running. So I disconnected that and I confirmed that I had 24 volts here. And then I changed it to that speed, but this one would intermittently. Let's see if it comes on. Yeah, it's coming on. But that's the speed it was connected to yesterday and it wouldn't run. And all I did was disconnect it. And I put it back in, it still wouldn't run. I set it on another speed, so this one's gonna have your delay, off delay. And then I would connect it again to that speed and it still wouldn't run. I connected it to the other speed, it came on and ran, and when I put it back to that speed, it finally came on and ran. So it's an intermittent thing that it just suddenly just doesn't shut off or doesn't want to start actually. And that's kind of what I ran into yesterday. Sometimes it would run, sometimes it wouldn't. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap this motor out. And we're gonna use the that universal X13 motor. Which one is that? That's the total line version. And it's 115 or 230 volt. So it can go in a furnace as well if you've got a furnace with one of those. Turn the breaker off and we'll get this thing changed out. Alright, so we're going to get this thing out. There's a little bit of rust on there. And I do have my little blower bag with my WD-40 and my sandpaper. And there's also a motor puller in here. If it gets to that. I don't think it will on this one, maybe. We'll hope not, but I do keep one for those stubborn situations. So we'll spray that thing down a little bit. Get our lock screw out. And we'll let that sit for a minute. Squirt a little bit back in there. And we'll go to work on it and see what we can do. We've seen worse. Just as soon as I say that, this one will be stuck. Sometimes it's rusted on the back side from between the motor and the wheel hub, and you really can't access that. To clean it up. Squirt a little more on it because I want to rinse that debris away. I don't want it to get jammed down in there between the shaft and the hub and cause it to lock halfway up. So I try to rinse it out of there and then kind of brush it out so it doesn't get in there. Let's see if we can break that free real quick. Yeah, it's pretty loose. Let's get these bolts out. Switch over to my 7/16. Back these bolts out of here. And hopefully this will lift right out. Yes. And see all that crud that's on the back side that you can't get to. Yeah, that's a little oily And that motor is sitting in there like that. So this thing's been leaking. Yeah, you can see the oil right around there. So this thing probably just gets hot. And then there's a protection in it that'll shut it off. And then it just randomly comes back on again. Let's get the new one in. So I've got the belly band off of the old motor onto the new motor. Old motor is right there. And most of you should already know how to do that. Troubleshooting it's one thing, replacing it, it's just a process of steps. And I didn't want all the DIYers out there learning everything. I still need to call a professional to get this kind of work done. But anyway, let's get this thing in and get it turned on. Get our holes lined up. We'll get our bolts back in. And we'll get the wheel centered. Then we'll slide it back in and get it running. Got it back in. Make sure your wheel is centered inside the housing so it doesn't scrub when it comes on. You want to make sure you've got the right airflow. If it's sitting too close to the edge, when it comes on, it might torque up, start scrubbing, tear your wheel up, things like that. So make sure that is centered, and always make sure your lock screw is tight so that thing doesn't slide off when it starts running. But anyway, let's get it back in. Get our screws back in. Get the wires connected and get it turned on. And don't forget, put your ground wire back, or you will have some problems. So these wires feed back up through this opening, and then just simply plug back to the motor up here. You gotta make sure it goes on right, because one of those is an unused terminal. Make sure it's snapped in good and tight. And put your speed wires back. We were using, I think, 5. The auxiliary heating speed. And then 3 for that one, which is basically medium speed. 1.5 ton unit. We got to put the ground wire back there. We're all set. Double check and make sure all this is plugged in tight, because that's a very important step. So now, with one of these universal versions of this motor, it's multi-directional. It can spin clockwise or counterclockwise. So based on the instructions, before you turn it on, you just put the door back on, and what it will do is it will run in both directions, and somehow it determines on its own which way to run. I think based on the static resistance against it. Put in a lot of these motors in, and they're definitely a cheaper alternative to the OEM, because this unit's not under warranty anymore. This unit's 13 years old. But the OEM motor for this from Carrier would have been, we'll just say on our cost, it would have been double. So the homeowner would pay more for that one than they would for the universal one, and the universal one works exactly the same way. So let's turn this thing on and see if it will detect properly. So you'll hear it come on. Okay. It's running in one direction, and it doesn't run real fast when it does the test. And it'll run the other direction. There it goes. You can't hardly hear that probably over the camera, but I can hear it when it starts. And then at some point it will make up its mind which direction to run. And it will start to gradually speed up. There it goes. You hear it running. And when we take this door off, we will confirm that. Always confirm it. Now, this is a negative pressure air handler. It's pulling air across this way, so this door is basically under a vacuum right now. So usually just by taking the door off, you can confirm it's running the right direction, because it's pulling the door, which it is. And I'll simply turn it off, and then watch that blower wheel. It should be spinning back that direction, and it is. So it is going the right direction. And that's all there is to it, guys, really. So anyway, we got these people squared away. Appreciate you watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.